welcome to another video. Today we're going to be seeing how to implement Segment CDP, which is kind of like an analytics platform, but it's also, its main purpose, it's a customer data platform. So it allows you to kind of have multiple sources of events, data coming in, and you can kind of send that to downstream destinations. You can have different types of sources. You can see you have Node.js, Python, JavaScript, and then you can have different destinations as well. They have a lot of things, so let me know if there's anything specific. I can go ahead and check it out. So since we are going to try and tag this JavaScript application, it's just a website. You can see it's pretty simple. Everything's dummy. This is just a demo, so don't yell at me. But here it's super simple. You can just add a to-do list, right? Go shopping, go to the gym, whatever. You can complete these. You can edit them, and you can delete them, and you can log out, for example. We'll see why logging out is important in a minute. But for now, we're going to tag when a user logs in, when someone creates a to-do, someone edits a to-do, and deletes a to-do. Super simple. We're going to keep it simple. So if you guys have any other suggestions after you guys watch the video, let me know. Happy to make it happen. So here I have the code. I basically asked Cursor to just create it from a fresh Next.js app. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of get rid of this for now. So the first thing we're gonna do is actually come to Segment. We're gonna create a JavaScript source. And we're gonna name it. So we're gonna do something like to do app, and we're gonna mark it as def. You can also have labels, but they don't really display it on the list of sources, so I like just naming them after. Ideally, you want a different source for def, another one for staging, another one for production, just so you don't kind of mix the data there. Again, you can kind of pick your labels. You can create more labels. And then data ingestion, we're going to be using US, but if you are somewhere in like Europe, you want to be GDPR compliant, which brings a good point. I don't have integrated anything like CookieBot or OneTrust, but if you guys would like me to do something like that, let me know, just so we can kind of be cookie compliant. This is fully demo, so we're gonna be deleting this after a while, so this is just to showcase how to kind of do these things. So perfect. Now once we have our source created, we're gonna have this basically kind of script that we get. With Next.js, they have their own script, so we're just gonna be copying the JavaScript within it. So we're gonna come in here, add something like a script, right? It comes from the Next.js library. I'm gonna give it an ID, something like segment script, and we're gonna use this dangerously set inner HTML. And they have this HTML object, which we'll just be doing this. Perfect. So now that we have our code in here, we can go ahead and test it. Now here we have a few different things. We're mainly going to be looking at the debugger today. There's other things like a schema, where we'll be able to see every event that this source has ever had and its frequency. Any alerts, so if you want to create alerts when there's a significant drop in events, things like that, you can do that. Functions in Segment, you can actually create JavaScript functions that can kind of format the data before you send them somewhere else. and then the settings. If you guys need me to explain any of those things, let me know. Happy to go through them. But for now, we're just gonna go into the debugger and see kind of data happening in real time. So the first thing that is happening, it's just loading its thing, and then it's loading this write key. This write key is unique per source. So if you create a staging source, it'll be a different one. If you create a production one, it'll be different. So ideally, you want to have these in an environment file that you can pull dynamically based on your environment. Again, this is just a demo, so we'll just stick with this. Now, how can we test this now that we have this? So one thing we can do is come in here, parsing xmas. If I can only close my tag. Perfect. So one of the things we can do, come into the network, filter by segment, and reload the page. Perfect. So you can see it loads some settings, and then this P is basically the page view. Every time you change pages, this is gonna get triggered, so you can kind of see what users are doing in your application, how they're navigating. So you can see the first time we just kind of sent this page view, and then the next time we sent another one. And you can see the properties here. So you can see the path, if there's any referred, anything, query parameters, title of the page, and then the full URL. So perfect. Now, the first thing we want to do is identify the users when they log in. Identify your user basically keeps users cached, so we know they're authenticated. We know we can create a profile and segment about that user. So I'll just go ahead and kind of showcase that a little bit. So we're gonna come here in our login page. Here we have our logic of logging in. So basically, if once this user submits their data, if their data is valid, before sending them to the main page, maybe we want to send something like, which there's something I want to bring up. See, now that we have segment here, this gives us access to a window object called analytics, or we can have different things. One of those things that we're going to be using is track. So track is behavioral event, think of it. So when someone, for example, clicks login, we want to send an event that someone logged in. Get credit to do, we want to send an event like that. So those are behavior events. And then the other thing that we're going to be looking at is the identify. This basically allows us to send user data to segment to start creating profile on those users. Again, please make sure to implement something like CookieBot so you're compliant with regulations. Alright, so once a user is successfully logged in, something we're going to do is window that analytics, that track. So actually we're going to do an identify first, and I'll explain why. Where the first thing, the first parameter is a user ID. So ideally you want to use your user database ID. In this case, we're just going to use something like username. And then the next thing, we're going to send properties or traits. So we can send something like the username. We never want to send password, ever. Don't ever send password to these things. We can do something like, well, it's not necessarily that. We can do something like plan. tier, right? Now, after this happens, then we can send a track event, just called signed in. And if you want, you can send the username. It's not necessarily a good idea, but you can. We can do something like plan. Just keep it as free. Now the reason why we send identify first is so that Segment can kind of cache the user information in there. So when we send the signed in event, it has the user ID in there. Now I'm pretty sure I can just ignore. Is that how you do this? Let's see. We'll just use cursor to fix this. And we'll just add it here as well. Now again, this is just showcasing. Please handle this better in your production application. Alright, so we're gonna refresh. Again, we'll probably have a few page views. So now we're gonna log in here, right? We're gonna use this. Bam. Bam. Now this happened. We can look at here. You can see the actual identify call and then the track call. And we can come in here. You can see signed in. And then basically that identify call we sent. And again, our properties, plan free. So that's sweet. Alright, perfect. So now that we're in here, you can see now this analytics. We're actually able to see the user, and then we can check out the traits. So you can see here we have our user ID of user ID or user1, username is our user1, and then plan free. Again, they cache these for a while. Now, let me clear this. Now, we're going to track when this user creates a to-do. So let's do that. I have this component, I have this to-do modal, where someone can either create or edit their to-do. So what we want to do is check in here. Alright, so editing to-do. Alright, so we have this save. Oh, that's right, this is just to edit. So when someone creates a to-do, we'll go here. So you can see we basically have just the title of it. So after adding the to-do, so ideally, again, you're gonna be calling your database. So after adding it, we're gonna do, and let me, we're gonna do a window that analytics that track to do added. Here we can just do title as new to do true. Before it sets a new one. Alright, perfect. So we're sending this to do added with this title. Amazing. Now what we can also do, I'm just going to copy this, go in here. After actually updating another one, we're going to do updated. ideally, you want to send maybe like an ID. If you're planning on doing analysis on things that happen in your to-do, if it's much more complex, right? So you can do something like an ID one. Or in our case, we'll just stick to this. And then same thing here. So to do updated, oh, wait a minute. There is an ID. Okay. Need to do, okay. Alright, well, that is nice. Here we can add it. Something like, what is it? Editing, oh, Jesus. To do that ID. Just do, right. Alright, perfect. So now we can go into our application, just refresh just to make sure things get loaded there, okay. And then we're going to add a new to do. So let's do, go to the gym, boom. Let's do, go shopping, boom. And again, we can just check on the network. You can see we have 2 track calls, and we can always come over here. So you can see our to-do was added, go to the gym, to-do added, go shopping, amazing. Now let's try editing, go into the gym, and run. Save this. Again, another track call there. Come in here. You can actually see the ID. Nice. Then the title. So again, we have our page calls. We have our signed in event, which happens when someone signs in. We have our identify. I'll show you guys something cool in a minute. We have a few to do added and a to do updated. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing for deleting, which I believe is just here. Delete to do. Alright. We'll just do this. I know this is probably hurting a lot of people that I don't have a function that handles this, but not my problem. I'm doing the demo. Alright, so to do deleted, just do that ID. And sure, we can do to do that text. So we'll do this. We'll refresh our page. Oh jeez. Go shopping. Add it. And then delete it. So we can see our to do that was added. Go shopping. And then our to do deleted. Go shopping. Now let's do the last thing when someone completes a to-do, which is basically this. Toggle to-do, okay. Okay. If, well, you know what? We'll keep this pretty simple to do. Can do either update it and then just do completed. So now if we, for example, do go to the gym, check this, you can see there's a track call that went out, updated, completed. That does not seem right. Okay, well, there is something here. You know what? Tell me what to do. I do want to see this add to do. See what it does. Completed false, yeah. Anyway, error that I'm not willing to kind of look at right now, but you can kind of see now we have these. Now, something I said, and I don't want to show the rocks, he has my IP, and I don't know how to blur the video yet, so eventually I'll show you guys all the information that we capture. But for now, it's something only paid users you get. So they have something called Engage, where you can kind of see your user profiles, as you can kind of see. So what we're gonna do is, in this demo space, we're gonna add this source. Now this should bring my one user again. And another thing, you can have your identity resolution, where you can prioritize and add like values to specific traits. For example, user ID, there's only one database user ID, unique forever. Users may change their emails or usernames, whatever. So you can give it something like 5. This can be daily, yearly, or 5 forever. Yeah. So now if we come here, maybe we'll just need to just log in again. So once we're logged in, we can again kind of take a look at this user, and we can see here now the actual traits now. So we have their plan, it's free, their user ID, their username. We can ask for names, we can add whatever. Just to kind of show it too, we'll just go ahead and do it right here. Window that analytics, that identify. I believe we can just do this. First name, actually recommend to do it. Okay. James. Last name. Bond. Perfect. So now if I grab this, refresh, look for this user, you can now see we have this. Now we can do the same for something like an email, right? So let me just delete this. JamesBond.com, because he's cool and has his own website. I refresh, look in here, now you can see their emails. And in their identities, here we have their user ID. And I'm probably using this email already. That's my test email. But perfect. Now the last thing we're gonna do is on the nav bar. Now here, when someone logs out, we'll just go right here on logout. Do I have a function for this here already? Okay, perfect. The only thing we'll do is until that analytics that resets. Perfect. So now if we log out, let me user, we're gonna look at something called the anonymous ID. Jeez. This anonymous ID is basically the session ID. When Segment loads into a browser, they keep this for up to a year. So they basically have the same session ID for up to a year in this website. So when they come back, we know the new things that they're doing. So what the reset does, and I didn't do this. Again, you can look at this. We'll look at the user ID as well, which I guess is just ID. So you can see. So if we log out, we should have no ID and a different anonymous ID. So this one starts with A7, ends with FE. The old one starts with A4 and ended with 18. Now this is important because sometimes maybe you have like a kiosk or something where multiple people can log in and out. So this allows us to kind of make sure we don't mix data that users are doing. So if you have something like a session timeout where you automatically log users out, make sure to implement this so you don't miss mixed data, basically. Alright, amazing. Now, the only problem here is, right now, probably my application would break if I do something like enhance. We're gonna do a strict and reload all the tabs. If we go back and look in here, you can see all these errors that are happening now. Segment's not loading anymore. We try to log in. You can see getting a bunch of errors just from Segment. Probably have a bunch of here as well. And if we go to our Segment data, we go to our source, the debugger. You can see the last thing wasn't identified 2 minutes ago. So just to kind of make sure, we'll just add a to-do, another to-do, complete it, delete it, and you can see nothing is being sent anymore. So for that, we can implement server-side Segment. That'll be maybe my next video. So let me know if you guys want to watch that video and if this was helpful. Hopefully this can kind of help you in something, and maybe we can implement Google Analytics next time as well. So thank you for watching. This was how to implement Segment in the Next.js app. If y'all have any questions, feel free to comment. Any suggestions, comment. Anybody sees this, like, subscribe. So it sounds corny, but yeah. Cool. Peace.